What's up, guys? Welcome to Blue Presents podcast where I discuss all things music and how it affects my life. And today, my guest is Brian Chausse, aka Chausse, from the band Seconds from Disaster, man. We talk about a lot of musical things, such as, you know, what inspired him to get into music, going into shows, how he's staying motivated when it comes to music, how fatherhood is changing him currently, man. And it's a great show, so sit back and relax. But before I get started, man, I just want to say thank you to all you guys who continue to keep listening, man. I greatly appreciate each and every one of you. If you've listened to one show, or if you listened to a bunch of shows, I greatly appreciate it. And before we get started, man, listen to my friend AJ Pelletier tell you why you should listen to the Roads We Travel podcast.
Hey everyone, AJ Pelletier here, and I'm here to talk to you about my podcast, The Roads We've Traveled. It's a podcast where every week I talk to guests and friends from music, art, comedy, and more about their journeys through life, their struggles, their joys, and everything in between. You also get to know a little bit more about me and my journey as well. So if you like podcasts about good conversations about life, or maybe you're just looking to relate to somebody about some things you may be going through as well, then The Roads We've Traveled is the podcast for you. Subscribe to us today on Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts, or wherever you guys get your podcasts from. Check us out and subscribe to us on YouTube. And check us out at facebook.com/Roads We've Traveled podcast. All right, everyone. Thanks.
What's up, guys? Welcome to Blue Presents a podcast where I discuss all things music and how it affects my life. And I've already fucked up this show, but today, my guest on my show today is Brian Chausse, or for other people who don't know, my homeboy, Big Daddy Chausse. What's going on, Chausse?
What's going on, Blue?
Nothing much, man. We're already fucking up and we're laughing already, so it's going to be a good show, man. It's going to be a good show, man. So I'm sure you've heard the show before, and I appreciate you coming on today, man. But the first question I have for you are, what are your top 5 artists, man?
All right, so I already told you a second ago. I just came up with this on a whim. I probably should have prepared more, but that's me. I don't prepare for anything. Well, number one is an obvious for me. It's what got me into metal in the first place was Metallica back in, I don't know, I think I was like 11.
Mm-hmm.
I heard Fade to Black on the radio, and I was just instantly hooked on metal. I was listening to R&B and rap all the way up until that. I still do, but
yeah,
it's mostly the heavy stuff I'm into.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, well, when it comes to, like, you know, chill vibes and everything, I gotta say Dirty Heads.
Okay.
I like to mix it up. So, you know, reggae, I've been really into reggae the past couple of years.
Okay.
So Dirty Heads is at the top of that for me.
Mm-hmm.
As far as most influential,
Yeah.
I'd have to say Like Moss to Flames and The Ghost Inside.
Woo! Yeah,
Right.
I like both of those.
They're on the same plane for me.
Okay.
And then right behind them is Fit for a King. So that's like my top 5.
Okay.
I don't really listen to Metallica like
Yeah.
that anymore, but you know they're always going to hold that special place in my heart.
Yeah, man.
Reasons.
Oh, man. I catch a lot of flack for this, man, but I'm not the biggest Metallica fan, but I respect what Metallica has done for heavy music in general, because if you don't look at it and you don't realize, you need to pay respects to those guys, because they kind of made that heavy sound. You know, when they first started out, they were a little more thrashier. They kind of made that broke into the mainstream with that kind of sound. So you have to respect what they've done. Just not my cup of tea, man. You know, but I respect what they've done. You know what I'm saying?
Honestly, they're not really my cup of tea anymore either. You know,
Mm-hmm.
my taste has changed a lot over the years.
Yeah.
But like I said, they got me into it, so they're always going to hold that place in my heart for music. I haven't really listened to them much after Reload. You know what I mean? Like, they did the S&M album, which was awesome for what it was.
Yeah.
And then Saint Anger, I'm not going to get started on that, but I think
That
most
snare,
people
though.
can agree with me.
Yeah.
It was not their best.
So in talking with that, let's jump right into my next question, man. How did it get started for Chausse, man? How did you get, you know, it sounded like Metallica kind of was your gateway. How did it go from Metallica and progress further?
Well, like I said, I was I'm pretty old, so my history goes back a while, but it's crazy though, because like the first CD I ever bought was this R&B group called Immature. I'm not sure if you remember who they are.
Yeah.
One of the dudes was actually on was it Sister or something like that?
Yeah, Marquise Houston.
Yeah.
Yes.
Um,
Believe me, we could talk about that too, man, because I grew up just like that too, man, for real.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like it's such a drastic change from that, and never really been one to conform to certain groups or anything. I'm just all over the place. But the so when I was about 11, man, like I said, I heard on the radio Fade to Black, and my brother took me to my first concert, which was back in '97.
Woo.
Yeah. I'm 35 now, so like I said,
I'm a year behind you, brother. Don't worry, we're old together.
Yeah, I've been doing this for quite a while.
Exactly.
But,
yeah.
So my first concert in this order was not Sugar Ray. Incubus opened up.
Woo. And
they came out with their first 2 albums that year. So I'd never even heard of them until that point, and I was just like, dude, these guys are amazing. So it was Incubus, then Sugar Ray, and 311. That was my first concert I ever went to.
So let me ask a question before you finish that statement. How much weed was in the area of where you were? Because that's like the pothead's dream of bands altogether right there.
You know what? That was before I actually started smoking, so I didn't really know what it was. So
exactly.
It could have been everywhere. Actually, I think I do faintly remember smelling it now that I know what it is. But
exactly.
I started smoking 2 years later when I was like 13.
Yeah.
So but yeah, I mean that's what started my obsession with going to concerts. Live music was just like that. Concert was just insane fun. Even if you're not into that kind of music, and that was before I even really got into reggae, but they're kind of reggae. So I was like, it was like going into reggae was a very easy transition for me. My old bass player from SFD, Essie, he's the one that got me into it a few years ago, and I was just like, holy shit, man, this is cool. This is a cool vibe. I like it.
No, man, it definitely sounds like, like the experience kind of gave you something that, excited you, that you realized, man, this is something I like, I enjoy. And that's the beautiful thing about music, and why everything about music is so fluid. And it, like, I'm much like you, man. My genre depends on the day, man. It can be anywhere from metalcore to 1950s R&B, Smokey Robinson and shit like that. You know,
it's really how I'm feeling that day, what I want to listen to.
Exactly, man. Especially you're having a rough day, you want to listen to something a little bit more aggressive. If it's a Friday and you're off for the weekend, you're like, let me get in the vibe of just being relaxed and chill. You know what I'm saying? And that definitely is one of those amazing things. So, basically, so how did we get from, we're going to concerts to, damn, bro, I want to play guitar and I want to be in a band?
Well, that is actually a totally separate situation. Before I got into the heavy music, I had a love for instruments themselves. It dates back to when I was in what was it, first grade? We started playing the recorder.
Okay.
I was it goes back that far. I was just instantly amazed that something so basic could produce a sound like that. So I was really into instruments. And then when I was about 9 years old, I joined a drum corps playing trumpet.
Okay.
And I was one of the lead trumpeters, and I was in the marching band, and then I was in the school band playing, and I was doing all these parades and everything. And then after that, I kind of fell out of that, and I started getting into guitar. When I was when I was 12, I got my first guitar. It was in 7th grade or something like that. I got my first guitar, and then I lent that to a friend of mine, and I think he sold it or something like that, and I was pretty pissed. But then my brother gave me my first real guitar, which was a hand-me-down from his brother-in-law or something like that, or his uncle. I can't remember who gave it to him, but it's been in the family. It's a family guitar.
Yeah.
And I still currently have it. I'm actually redoing it at the moment. But that's what got me into that. And then when I started listening to Metallica, I made it a point to learn as much as I could. And then I would just set up my stereo and my guitar amp in my garage and just blast it and play along with it and sing with it. And it was just like, it kind of took off from there. And then I tried starting a couple bands with my friends, but no one had any instruments or any clue what the hell we were doing. Yeah. So it really didn't go anywhere until I was a freshman in high school. And I heard a couple kids in one of my classes talking about, needing a singer. I was like, hey, I'll fill in for now until you find someone better. I know I suck. And then I did, man. I was horrible. It was my first band as a vocalist. And it was like I did one show and then they found someone else and kicked me out. And I was like, oh, I saw that coming. So I really wasn't too mad about it. And I was I stayed friends with them and everything. But I was like, from that point, I was like, man, I really like being in a band. And I'm going to start another band just to show these guys up that I'm actually, halfway decent. But I wasn't. I still sucked.
Hey, but, man, it was the encouragement that you had, that fulfillment, that like, you know what? I'm going to show these motherfuckers what's going on, man.
No, exactly. That's what it was. But you know what? It was a good thing it happened like that, because that's kind of what drove me at first. I was like, man, I want to show these guys up. So I started a band and called Impiety. And it was like the stupidest name I could think of. But I thought it was cool back then,
Yeah.
When you're like 15, you're like, oh, yeah, this is fucking metal. But, you don't realize how stupid it is until like later on in life. Like, wow, that was really dumb. But so we went through a couple members, and then eventually that band broke up after I switched from vocals to guitar. And I've always been kind of back and forth. And then after that band, I was in a band called Severance, and that's what really pushed me forward, was that band. And I say this all the time. In the Red, Cody from In the Red, right?
Yeah.
Well, he was my drummer at the time.
Oh, okay.
And him and our buddy Eric Anderson actually really, really pushed me hard in that band. And they brought a lot of good things out of me. We would record, and I'd be we had like a little 8-track recorder, and you had to do everything in one take, or you had to scrap it and start over. So it was tough. So you really had to make sure you're on point, which I rarely ever was. So they really got in my ass about it, especially with like enunciation when I'm screaming. They're like, dude, I can't understand a single fucking thing you just said. Do it over. And it pissed me off, though, man. Like, it really pissed me off so much that, like, I eventually got it. And they were like, yeah, that's good. And then, like, they're the ones that got me working on enunciation and actually understanding what you're saying when you scream. And because that was a big problem with a lot of bands, is you really couldn't understand it. Like, it sounded dope, but you couldn't understand what they were saying. So you actually had to read the lyric book. And a lot of the bands, they didn't have the lyrics in the book.
Of course not.
So I'm sitting there trying to figure out what the hell they're saying.
Yeah.
But then after that band, I was in a couple random bands like Sacrosick. I was in them with them for a little bit. They ended up becoming after I left, they changed their name to Shroud of Turin, and they got insane after that.
Wow.
But they didn't last too much longer after that either. A lot of local bands that break up after a couple of years. But and then after that, man, I was in so many bands. I think SFD was my 9th or 10th band.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I've been in like so many bands I can't even count, but I've also done a lot of fill-in work, where you go in and bands like, hey, we need a vocalist for a little while, and whatever the case is. There was one point I was a fill-in for almost 2 years for a band.
Jeez.
And then they found another vocalist, and I was just like, but we've been doing what we've been doing, and you guys are like, but it was all good because it kind of led to something a little bit more successful.
Right. You're you're always looking at it in a negative aspect when it happens, but then later on, there's a blessing that comes out of it that you don't realize is going to happen.
True. Yeah, very much
and,
true.
So it's like it sucked, but then it's like, would you change it, knowing that the outcome that happens? It's like it's one of those weird things. It's like you always say, "Oh, I wish I could have done this differently," but it's like, why would you? Why would you? Unless it's going to put you in a better position than you're at now. Why would you go back and change?
Yeah, no, because I mean, everybody kind of goes through those ebbs and flows, especially when you're first starting out in music, and if you're a vocalist or you're a guitar player or whatever instrument or whatever you do in a band, it's kind of finding that flow that helps you get to where you want to be. I started out as a vocalist who had more of like very high, almost pterodactyl like screams, to now where it was stupid high. Well, I was like heavily inspired by like Atreyu and
there was the times though.
Exactly.
That was the music of the times. I was doing the same thing.
Yeah.
When I was in after Severance, I was in Silent Graves, and then I was in this band Hoods Up, and that was my first like really prominent band. We played all over New England. It was my first like straight like metal hardcore band. And I had the deep death growls and everything, and high pitched, super long screams. I think on the CD we recorded, I held the scream for like 23 seconds or whatever. It was stupid,
ungodly.
I don't even know why.
Yeah,
it was like through like the whole breakdown. It was just like one scream.
Yeah, no, and I remember like you were saying about like recording and enunciation. I remember particularly myself, recording was the worst thing in my mind. I would much rather be performing live, and I think what it was because I felt like
there's room for error and people can't tell.
True.
I think that's what it is. There's room for error, and people are just so into it.
You're so right. It's not even funny, Chausse. Like, one of my issues was I felt like I wasn't projecting enough. I felt like I wasn't loud enough. You know what I'm saying? And not realizing
enough power.
Exactly. Not realizing that sometimes some of that stuff is just in post production. They can handle that from there and whatever the case is. And just being young, I remember one time I punched the shit out of some studio walls we were in, and I had to like end up apologizing to the guy because I was just frustrated, man. I was so I was angry with myself. I wasn't angry with anybody else around. It was on me, you know what I'm saying? And one of those moments where like, you look back on it, and now, I work with like Brandon Cooper, and I'll go in the studio and Brandon's like, "You ready?" And then I just fucking go. Whereas before it was just like, oh my God, it's going to take a couple takes before I feel comfortable, before I feel, whatever the case is. You know what I'm saying?
Now, I the short time that I recorded with Brandon, it was good, man. He's a smart dude when it comes to recording, and he's like kind of, I mean, granted, no one has to listen to anybody, but it's like you want to listen to him, there was one thing that I did dispute that I wanted to do that, every person, every member, they have a certain way they want to do things, and it's like when you get outside suggestions, a lot of times you're closed off because you got your mindset on one thing. You don't want to listen, but it's like you really should.
Well, no, it's one of those things where you're so close to what you're doing that you don't even want to like look at it and be like, no, this is how I envisioned it. This is how I, you know what I'm saying? And somebody like Brandon, which I'm pretty sure he's going to be like, man, why do you talk about me on every show? But love him.
You're a fan.
Yeah, because I love him, man. He's
super
bro.
Fan.
Yeah, he's a bro. But no,
he's a cool dude.
Somebody like Brandon sees something that you didn't necessarily see, and then when you give it a try, you're like, I actually kind of enjoyed that, or I actually am like, wow, actually I didn't really think about that. And he's as open to critique as well too, you know what I'm saying? So that's the other thing too. You got to remember when you're working with somebody. So before we get we're going on and we're kind of bouncing around, we're actually having a conversation, which is awesome. You know what I'm saying? Where did you grow up, man? What part of Connecticut, or was it Mass that you grew up in? I'm trying to remember.
No, I've lived in Connecticut my whole life, unfortunately.
Okay. Unfortunately.
State fucking sucks, man.
Shots. Okay. So where did you grow up in Connecticut, man?
I bounced around a little bit between like Watertown and Waterbury. Pretty much my whole life. I was born in Waterbury. Mm-hmm. It took us a few years since I was born to find like a stable place. And then I spent 10 years of my life in Watertown in the same house until someone bought that house and then kicked us out because they wanted our apartment.
Wow.
So, and then after that, I lived in Waterbury for like another 13 years. And then 7.5 years ago, I moved back out to Watertown.
Mm-hmm.
And then just last year, actually almost a year ago, I bought this house in Watertown. So
That's what's up, man.
yeah, that's where I grew up. Most of my life is spent in Watertown.
Yeah.
But there was a good portion I was in Waterbury.
Yeah, man. So how do you feel like, that those areas that you grew up in, do you feel like they shaped you as a musician? Do you feel like they, like you were saying, it motivated you to prove to that band that you were better than what they were saying you were? Do you feel like growing up in those areas, you feel like you're motivated to prove that you are, I wouldn't say necessarily better than those places, but they motivated you to want to change, or maybe motivated you to want to go further when it comes to music?
Well, so that's a tricky question because I'm not really motivated by my surroundings. I'm more motivated by my own emotion and the things that I'm going through.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd be lying if I said they didn't have some kind of impact. Just for a simple fact, if you weren't in that area at the time you wouldn't know the people in that area that you did that may have pushed you in that direction. You know what I mean? So, growing up where I grew up, 100%, it had a huge impact on the direction I went because, like with Hoods Up, all the members were from Watertown, and so, if I wasn't around Watertown, I probably wouldn't know them, and I probably wouldn't have joined that band, which actually paved the way for me for other bands, because that's where people really knew who I was from Hoods Up, and then when I was in Strike Hard, because that was my next band after Hoods Up. I took like a couple year break from the metal scene and the hardcore scene and everything. There was a lot of drama going on, and I just wanted to get out of it. So I stopped doing that, and I was actually I started my own little studio in my basement. I was doing some rap shit with a couple of my buddies, recording them, and I was doing a lot of recording other people too. So so even that, I was in Waterbury when that started happening. So like, that was like the whole rap era that I did, and that was all out of Waterbury. A lot of actually underground, really talented rappers come out of Waterbury. They just don't get the recognition, But
because it's not like a New York or a Boston area, which kind of sucks, man. Because to be honest with you, sometimes I feel like, especially when it comes to particular hip hop artists, and especially a lot for metal artists, it's kind of hard unless you're in a major city that has something kind of going on. You know what I'm saying? To get any type of recognition.
Yeah, but the community is I gotta say, like, I'm probably gonna get attacked for this, but the community is a lot tighter, in my opinion, with the local rap, because people actually really support each other. I mean, they do what they do in the hardcore scene, but only if you're friends. You know what I mean? It's like, it's almost like a popularity contest. And I don't mean that in a bad way, because I think friends should support their friends' bands and their friends' music. So that I feel is awesome. But it's like, if you're not part of that group, part of that clique, then you get absolutely no respect. I know I played even in SFD, man. We played a couple shows, and I'm not even gonna name names about the bands because I'm just that's not what I do. But there was a couple of bands that were there. We were nice enough to switch spots with. Actually, we were supposed to go on later. We agreed to go on earlier so they can all share the same equipment.
Mm-hmm.
And then they didn't even give us the respect to watch our set. They were the whole crowd,
Mm-hmm.
and they all stood outside until it was their time to play. And that's what I don't like.
Yeah.
It's not right. It's not fair, and it's very disrespectful to the other bands playing. I try to watch everybody I can,
Mm-hmm.
and we didn't get that same respect, which it was whatever. Mark got really really pissed off about it, and it's totally understandable.
Mm-hmm.
But then like that same show, we were having issues with the fucking mic cables.
Mm-hmm.
And so Mark got pissed. Obviously, he's the vocalist. He wants to be heard. That's his job.
Yeah.
And the mic cables weren't working, so he just dropped the mic and got pissed off and grabbed my mic. But then some people were going around saying that, like, oh, Mark was being disrespectful. He said, fuck this place, and threw the mic down. That's not what even happened.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like the scene is tight if you're involved.
Yeah.
Pretty much, it sucks because if you're an outsider to that scene, then you don't really get no recognition. You don't get the same respect as they give their friends' bands or whatever.
Yeah, I got a question for you too. Speaking on that, because I feel like there's two different music scenes in Connecticut. You know what I'm saying? I feel like there is, the guys like on the, southeast tip, like Dwayne and those guys, and those guys are super welcoming, super nice and stuff like that. And then you've got like a scene that's a little bit closer to like the Hartford area. And I feel like to get into that scene is a little bit more difficult. We're talking about places like the Webster and stuff like that are a little more difficult to get into. And I've seen you get into there. And hell, I had a friend who directly had me talk to one of these dudes, and it was almost like being ignored, and it kind of like it's a little defeating, man, when you think about it, because we
had the same issue with SFD. I've been playing the Webster since my 18th birthday. Was the first time I played Webster, and it was the main stage, and that was with Severance.
Mm-hmm.
That was back when Ben Wu was the touring manager, and he was such a good guy. But then he went on a trip to, I think, his sister's wedding or someone's wedding, and he disappeared, dude. He was never found.
What the hell?
Yeah, it was all over the news when it happened and everything. Look it up. Ben Wu.
Wow.
His last name is W-U. Yeah, dude. He went to like the Bahamas or some shit like that. He went for a walk. Never came back. They found his cell phone.
That's insane.
Yeah, he just went missing. They never found his body or nothing. Never found him. But he was awesome guy, and if you wanted a shot, he would give you a shot. And if you couldn't produce, then obviously it was skeptical about letting you back. But as long as you sold the tickets, he always put you back on another show. But and then even when Rusty took over as the booking manager, when I was in Hoods Up, we played the Webster a bunch of times. Actually, we opened up for It Dies Today one time. I got into a big brawl and got kicked out.
Wow. Hold on. You can't skate past that. So what happened with that? I'm sorry. We got to dive into that one. You got into a fight with It Dies Today?
No, those are my boys, man.
Okay.
It Dies Today are my boys. They're awesome. No, we opened up for them. We played the Underground, right? And it was crazy because I had my boss from work and a couple of his cousins that worked with us. They all came out to see us play and everything. And one of my ex-girlfriends that was there with me, I wasn't dating her at the time. She was actually an ex, but we were messing around at the time. And she was fucking cocked. And the chick that was doing door kicked her out. Okay. Right? But I told her, I was like, look, I said, just don't act all fucking stupid and just come back here with me and don't cause a scene, and I'll sneak you back in. So I brought her back in, right? And then I was fucking dancing in the pit for some other local band that was playing. And all of a sudden, like, two dudes start pushing me around. I was like, yo, you better back the fuck up.
Yeah, for real.
And then I shoved them back, and all of a sudden, one of them goes to take a swing at me, and my boy Dion comes out of nowhere, just pushes him back, and then he was like, "Yo," so like the dude, no, like, "Yo, I had some people there. Don't fuck with me, man.
Yeah.
You're gonna get fucked up." And so then all of a sudden he got blindsided as he was like talking, and then put his tooth right through his tongue. You know what I mean? He got sucker punched so bad.
Damn.
He was gushing blood. It was, and then someone came up behind my drummer, Justin Bannistead, which is Essie's brother, and picked him up from behind and like body slammed.
God damn. So
then I run up and I grabbed the dude by the back of the shirt. I rip him off. I cocked back. I was about to take his fucking face off, and then that's when the security jumped in and kicked us out. And I was a hothead back then. My cousin was with me.
Yeah.
And I ran out to the car, grabbed the tire iron, and started coming back to the Webster. I was gonna fuck these dudes up.
Oh, shit, god damn.
and then my cousin just looked at me. I was like, fuck, man, if I go to jail, my aunt and uncle are gonna kill me. So
yeah, of course.
I was like, I talked myself down, and we all left without being arrested. But and it sucked too, because it was literally as we were walking out, I heard "It Dies Today" going on. I was like, son of a bitch.
No, yeah, that's crazy, man. I actually got to see those guys on the most interesting tour I think I've ever seen, and it was them. I want to say it was A Day to Remember, and I Killed the Prom Queen.
Oh, that's a hell of a show.
Yes, this was in Jacksonville. I want to say 06, 07. And at a place called the Imperial, man. And let me tell you something.
That was right when A Day to Remember, right before they got huge.
Yeah. So they were, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think they were opening, and then I Killed the Prom Queen, which at the time was crazy because I Killed the Prom Queen was from Australia, and my boy Josh Tyson had put me onto these guys, and I was like in love, man. I've got like a lot of people don't know that like the Australian metalcore scene is probably like one of my favorite scenes to listen to. You know, Parkway Drive. I Killed the Prom Queen, and then you've got other bands like Caliban and stuff like that. Or no, not
dude, I was on Caliban.
Like, yeah, you got a couple. Yeah, you got a couple of the crazy bands that come from that area, if I'm not mistaken.
I actually got to finish out one of their shows on vocals. Caliban. They came to Danbury, and they played Tuxedo Junction, I believe it was.
Mm-hmm.
And they this is back in like 08, 09 or something like that. And so I was right up front, man. I was really into them, so I was screaming all the lyrics, and all of a sudden he puts the mic down to me during the last song, and I just grabbed it and finished the whole song. It was like I was so hyped. And then like I was always doing that. I jump up on stage, for Bury Your Dead, like Moss to Flames. I did that. I didn't for Fit for a King. I tried to, but I jump on stage for so many bands. Every time I go, I play with, or I see. Who the hell's it? I don't know why Hold Your Own is in my head. That was my buddy's old band. But I'm getting such a blank. Oh, Stick to Your Guns.
Okay.
I always jump on stage to get on the mic with them, and it's always good vibes. They're always cool with it, and I respect that a lot, man, because there's a lot of bands that you go jump up on stage and they literally just give you the boot right off.
Either that, or you get bands who don't even tell you what's the next song that they play, and they're so cocky about it they don't even I went to see the last time before the Ghost Inside had that really nasty accident. I saw them with The Devil Inside, or The Devil Inside.
The Devil Inside, come on, man.
The Devil Wears Prada. Yeah. Sorry, I'm thinking about my band.
The Devil Inside.
The Devil Wears Prada, and The Devil Wears Prada, don't get me wrong, they put on a kick-ass show, but they didn't tell you what song they were playing, they didn't talk to you, it was just song after song after song after song, and I guess I get it because they're such a big band, and they're just trying to give you an atmosphere, but I would like to know what song you're playing next.
Some people just aren't talkers. Like me, when I'm a vocalist, I'm not really a talker, I talk shit to the crowd. And it gets them amped or makes them want to walk away, whichever, But that's about it. Like I talk shit to the crowd to get them fucking going.
Yeah.
And that's about it. I'm not really a talker. Like, oh, this is the song we're playing, and then we just jump right into it, you know.
Yeah.
So I mean, some people just they're awkward
Yeah,
when
you
it
could be
comes
right.
to speeches and talking, but
Yeah.
once they get into the song and they're singing their own lyrics, you're just in a whole different world, you know. It's like
Yeah.
the people aren't even there. You're just like at band practice.
True.
And
Yeah. Sometimes certain bands, especially like Ghost Inside, Stick to Your Guns, those guys are definitely the type of people
talkers,
that,
dude.
yeah, they'll talk. They'll give you their opinions. They want you to feel comfortable.
Exactly.
They want you to feel safe. The positivity that those bands exude sometimes
Oh,
are
yeah.
just absolutely amazing. Especially like the last time I did see the Ghost Inside, this one kid, man, was like the whole time he was just going ape shit, clawing us all the way to the top. So they let him sing on Provoked, and the look he gave the vocalist from the Ghost Inside was like, man, thank you so much. And you could definitely tell like that connection of just letting him finish that song off with that last breakdown was just like, that was like everything to him. And they like hugged, and it was like, you really felt that moment. And I think that's like, once again, why I love music so much, man, is, you know, especially if you're an artist that's humble and respectful, and you really care about what you're putting out there for your fans, and you include them on those things. I think a lot more people are more apt to be attracted to you, and then feel the love when you include them on things like that, man. I love stuff like that.
Dude, I can't remember how many times in Hoods Up or Strike Hard where people thought they knew the lyrics and wanted to jump up on the mic. And I know they didn't know the lyrics because we never even released a song, and you know, it's like, I know they don't know the lyrics, but I was like, you know what, fuck it, come up on the mic anyway, just scream random shit. It's cool, you know. If it makes you feel good, then do it, you know. Like, I mean, that, in my opinion, that could be the moment that jumpstart their music career. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just getting up on that mic, like, wow, man, that really felt good, and I want to keep doing that. You know, but they may have never had that feeling if I didn't let them jump up on the mic. If I was an asshole, I'd be like, yo, no, fuck, dude, what are you doing? You know, there's a lot of bands do that, man. They're like, what the fuck are you doing, bro? Like, but it's like, dude, just let them have fun.
Yeah, man, because you never know. You might be helping to create that next artist who blows up out of nowhere and turns around and was like, hey, yo, I just want to give a special shout out to Chausse, because if it wasn't for Chausse handing me the mic, I'd have never figured out that I wanted to do this. You know what I'm saying?
Know, not for nothing, in the same aspect too. You don't know what's going on through that person's head too.
True.
They could be like on the verge of killing themselves, man, and that's the release they needed to set them back on track. And just by being a dick and saying, nah, man, you can't jump on the mic, that could just, you know, ruin their whole night, and who knows what's going to happen out there, because you're not going to see that person again. You know, what's it to you? But
no, for real.
The fact that, like I said, they may be having a really shitty time in life at the moment, and they just want to get on a mic and scream, you know. So it's like, who am I to tell them that they can't do that?
No, for real. And like I said, once again, you're shaping that mind, you're shaping that person, and that could be that moment for real. So man, I got one more question for you, man, and then we're gonna wrap this up, brother. And you know, I appreciate you coming on, man. So, let's talk about, you know, Seconds from Disaster, man, and you know,
that was inevitable. That was coming.
You know, I've had Mark on the show, you know, and Mark kind of
Ryan.
Yeah. And Mark kind of, you know, put out there that, you know, he blames himself and whatnot. And there was a moment there where, you know, you were a little upset about, you know, some things.
Yeah,
man, you hit me up, and
I gotta be honest. That was before I listened to it, and at the time we had beef. You know,
no, for real.
And you know, we did. I'm not even gonna lie, but you know what? Honestly, messaging you and you saying, you know what, dude, you guys should fucking talk. And I was like, nah, man, I don't get over that shit that easy. But then the next day, Mark messaged me and apologized, and it's just like all the beef went away. You know what I mean? I was just like, we started talking, and now we're talking about having me do vocals on one of the songs on his solo album that we're still waiting for Brandon to finish. So if you're listening, Brandon, get on that shit.
Well,
waiting.
I don't know, man. But, Brandon's got so many things going on, man, right now.
Oh, dude.
Yeah,
I know. Every time I see one of his posts, it's a different fucking thing he's working on.
Yo, man, and I'm telling you, man, that Worm Shepherd record is it's coming together nice, man. I've gotten a couple little peeks here and there. Anybody knows.
I'll be honest, I'm not really into that style of metal, but
yeah,
this shit is brutal, bro.
No, the kid Devin is an absolute amazing beast of a vocalist, man, and for real.
I saw some recording videos of it. His voice is fucking deep.
Yeah. So, but like, you know, once you and Mark talked and stuff like that, which is awesome, man. Because like I said, this podcast isn't about like beef or anything like that, or not creating any type of drama, man. It's just to share in the love of music, man. And I just felt like if you listen to that episode and kind of got where Mark was coming from, because Mark, you know, I always say this: everyone has a story, you know, and you know, everybody has a different perspective on what exactly happened or whatever the case is. And it seemed like once, you know, Mark kind of like said, "Hey, it was all on me," you kind of like, okay, he was right. You know,
well, no, it wasn't, and I actually, I kind of prejudged, you know, just because of what happened with us. I thought he was going to go on there and just spew a whole bunch of bullshit.
Of course.
You know what I mean? And surprisingly, that's not what happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, he could have came out and talked all this shit, which I respect that he didn't, because you know, personal beef is personal beef. It doesn't need to be aired out. Okay. But the fact is it was both of us, man. It really was. I mean, there was a lot of shit going on, and I was kind of not. I don't want to say being an asshole. Although I do have that tendency to come off like that.
Okay.
But I was being stubborn, and I started the band with a certain vision in mind, and I was doing everything I could to keep that vision instead of just going with it. You know what I mean? And I think that was my big issue. But a lot of it was me being a vocalist for so long. I had a lot that I wanted to teach Mark. And at first that's how it was, but then I think with certain things that happened, Mark became a little standoffish, and he thought that I was kind of like getting at him and attacking him for his flaws, instead of seeing that I was trying to help shape him a little better. So I totally get that, you know, especially if you got shit going in your life, man. Anything that can be taken negative will be taken negative.
No, for sure.
So, and I think a lot of that had to do with whatever was going on with him that he wasn't talking to me about. So I had no clue. You know, he talked to Ryan. That's his best friend. So any personal stuff that happened with Mark, Ryan's his go-to.
Yeah.
And I totally respect that. But I wish I knew a little more what was going on with him. Just that might have changed things, you know?
Yeah, you might have understood a little bit more. You might have wanted to
be
understanding.
We were both too stubborn to talk about it, you know? You know how that gets.
Guys. Yeah.
People just get way too stubborn. They're like, oh, no, fuck him. You know, if you want, you know, he should talk first, you know? And both people are thinking the same thing, and then it's not going to get resolved. So I think that's mainly what our biggest issue is, stubbornness. And, you know, the way I was like, well, if he's got a problem, he can come talk to me, because I'm not the one with the issue.
Yeah, and that could lead to that right there could just lead to the divide either way, because it's the perception that you feel like, well, I ain't got shit to say, he got shit to talk. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's that whole vibe where even something as misunderstanding as that can get people upset and even more pissed off about it.
Right, and it's a horrible mentality to have, and that's something I still kind of have, and I'm trying to break out of, is that, you know, like, I get upset about shit, but the way I am, it's like I don't want to talk about it while I'm pissed off, because if I am, then it's going to get out of hand and nothing's going to get resolved. We're probably going to end up in a fist fight, and I don't want shit to go down like that, you know, especially if it's supposed to be my boy. I don't want to fight him, but tempers run high, man.
Yeah, for real, man.
So
It's like your brother, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes when I think about like growing up with my cousins, because I didn't have brothers, I had sisters, but like growing up with my cousins, it was almost like, like sometimes we'd have to challenge each other or scrap it out with each other before we could understand. We were stupid mad, and then look at it and be like, man, you were stupid for that. Yeah, you were stupid for that too. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
like,
right. It's like, all right, what did you learn?
Exactly. For real, man. But I'm glad that you guys could have that understanding, man, and I'm glad that this some part in some weird way I had something sort of to kind of do with it, man, because you guys are two people I really love and love having, going to shows and seeing you guys, man. So it was kind of like weird when you came at me, and I'm just like, whoa, bro, this is not the energy I want, man. I was mainly just saying, I'm gonna listen, and if he says any bullshit that didn't go down like that, I was gonna correct him. But he was on point with everything, and from his aspect, from his side of things, I totally get it. Mm-hmm.
Sure. and I hope he feels the same way. We're cool. We're definitely cool again.
That's good.
And that is all because he was on your podcast. Yeah. So if he never was on it, then I never would have seen that. I never would have messaged you about it, and then he probably wouldn't have messaged me. Yeah. And then we'd still be beefing.
And nobody wants that. We're too old,
and all
man.
that. Yeah. All that was just because we're stubborn. We didn't want to talk about it.
Yeah, man.
The second we talked about it, it was like, everything was cool.
Yeah, it went back to normal and everything, man. And now I'm sure you're probably looking at life a little bit differently. Chauncey's a dad now, so you're looking at life just a little bit different these days, just a little bit.
Yeah, everything that I do now, I gotta think about her first. I gotta.
Mm-hmm.
That was honestly a big reason why I bought the house. Me and my girl were having a baby, and didn't want to. Definitely couldn't raise her where I was living. I was in an apartment above a fucking pizza place, and I could barely fit me and my dog. So, and then that was another reason. I got a pit bull, so we started getting turned down because he's a pit bull, and I was like, fuck this. I'm gonna buy my own house.
Yeah, man. There comes that time. Yeah, you don't want to let
best decision I made, man.
Yeah, I'm hopefully on my way to that in the next few years myself, so that's great though. But like I said, man, I was glad that you guys were able to come together, man, and happy for you, man. And if anything, man, it just speaks to the fact that sometimes there's things that we just need to let go and remember why we got into what we're doing. It was the music, man. It's always been the music.
Yeah. See, and it's funny the way things work out too, because like me and Ryan didn't really beef so much. Like I was really upset with him leaving too, because I really liked playing with him as co-guitarist. Like we worked really well together, and if we were stumped on something, we would just sit there and jam out for hours, and then finally one of us would hear something, and we're like, oh dude, let's build off that. It's cool. And then so I was upset that he walked out too, but I'd be lying if I didn't say I expected that, because him and Mark are so tight. But a lot of it didn't really have anything to do with Mark leaving. I mean, that was just kind of what tipped him over the edge to walking out. Like a lot of us were unhappy. We loved playing on stage, but we were unhappy with how things were going. And it was funny though, because right after my daughter was born, the first time I walked out of the room, I go downstairs. The first person I see was Ryan. He was he was working security that night.
Oh wow!
At the hospital, I was like, "What the fuck?" Exactly. And we both just kind of laughed, because that was our first time seeing each other since the band broke up.
Yeah.
So it was like we just kind of laughed, and it was funny. And then that was actually, I think, the last time I saw Ryan.
No, that's what's up, man, for real.
Then,
so
me and Mark talk, so everything's cool, man.
Yeah, man,
and I'm glad we got that out of the way.
For real. Man. Yeah, for real. So, I guess let's end this on a positive note. What are you doing now, man? Besides being a dad, what's next for Chauncey? Are you writing any music? Are you working with anybody?
Well, I work my ass off. Right right now we lost a few hours because all this dumb bullshit going on, but
Yeah.
hopefully things pick back up soon so I can
Mhm.
get those hours again and start, putting some money away again. But
Yeah.
I set up my studio finally in my house.
Mhm.
So I would like to start re-recording everything.
Mhm.
When I started SFD, I had said from the beginning that was my last band. After this band's done, I'm
Yeah.
done. I don't want to, gigging and everything takes a lot out of you, dude.
Yes, it does.
Especially at this age, I got back problems. So just loading and unloading equipment, man, it took a toll on me.
Yeah, for
And
real.
I'm sore the whole weekend. It's like I don't want to live like that. So the for what I'm doing now, I just want to do a studio project.
Okay.
So I want to re-record some of the SFD stuff.
Mhm.
Rewrite it.
Mhm.
And then maybe start working on some newer stuff and get some other musicians and vocalists in here and
Mhm.
write some stuff with them. I eventually want to write something and get Austin on there for some clean vocals because kid's got an amazing voice.
Mhm.
Dude sounds good on pretty much anything he sings on. So I was like, he's one guy I want to work with
Mhm.
in the future. Tyler too. The drummer Tyler.
O'Brien? Yeah.
He's phenomenal. He's such an insane drummer. Like
I
he's got
love
such
watching
a
his videos, man. He's
dude.
so
He's
energetic.
got such a unique style of playing with
Yeah.
all those ghost, well, all the ghost hits and everything on the stairs. Like, dude,
Yeah.
how the fuck do you do that shit?
Mhm. Yeah.
I
that's pretty
tried. I
awesome.
tried to do it, and it just sounds like a big mess of noise. And it's
Some people
I got my
got it, some people don't, man. It is
Oh,
what it
man.
is, you know?
I got respect for good drummers, man. That is the hardest thing to do in any band.
Yeah, no, that's for sure. But yeah, man. So I just want to say thank you for being on the show, brother, man. I appreciate you coming on, man. This was
Oh, yeah,
fun,
man.
man. Maybe we'll catch up a little bit more when you start putting some music together, and we'll talk some more. But yeah, man, appreciate you coming on, brother, for real, man. Thank you so much.
Of course, dude. It was good talking to you.
Hell yeah,
I
brother.
know I get a little awkward when I don't know what I'm what I want to say. So I'm surprised it went as smooth as it did.
No, it's all good, man. I appreciate you,
With
man.
the exception of that hiccup with your intro.
Oh man, yeah. Oh man, but thank you, brother. I appreciate it, man. All right.
All right, man.
All right. Later, brother.
All right, have a good one, dude.